The Wheel of Time show airs, and episodes drop and are viewed, leaving scenes that become legend. Legend fades to season, and even season is long forgotten when the episode that gave it birth comes again. In one episode, called the 8th episode by some, an episode yet to come, an episode long past, a chatter began amongst the nerds of the internet. The chatter was not the Aftershow. There are no afters or befores to the airing of the Wheel of Time show. But it was an Aftershow.
Hey, howdy, hey, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to an after show for episode 8 of the Wheel of Time, season 1. It's the season finale, and we've got, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Just some quick show notes if it's your first time joining. We have on the guests, we have some people who've read the books and some people who haven't read the books, so we can get a broad spectrum of what's going on. We will also have different levels of spoilers, which you can see at the ticker on the bottom of the screen. So we'll start off the show just talking first impressions, not spoiling anything, and then we'll switch to spoiler level. We can talk about anything from book 1, and then at the end of the show, which will probably be the majority of this show, we're talking full series spoilers because this episode's hard to talk about without going into a lot of spoilers. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guests, they've all been on the show before. Give me a second so I don't mess this up. I've been practicing real hard. Okay. Oh, I already messed up. I haven't said anything yet, so you don't know that I messed up. Okay. Oh, no. Dang it. I was so ready for this. Share screen.
Did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
Nope. Okay, here we go. Introducing. Oh, no, hide. Dang it. I was so ready. Okay. All right. Introducing tonight's guests, starting with my cousin, Nathan. You know him. You love him. He's a budding tech mogul. He's invented... He's worked on so many influential phone apps. Not that one's better than the others, but the ones he's done. He's worked on Meow Mixer, Uber Eats, and Petflix. And you told me yesterday you're actually working on 2 new apps simultaneously: Snapcat and Histogram, which I'm told is like Instagram for cats and Snapchat for cats. You really do seem to have a particular niche. In mind.
Seen that coming?
Yeah,
I had to get both of those jokes out because there's only one more episode. So, since you missed one of the episodes, I didn't want to just not do one of the jokes. All right. Also, my other cousin Jared, he is an amazing architect, and I gotta say, Jared, my mom is mad at you. She sent me. Oh, well, you'll see. I mean, Jared's an architect, but for some reason, he has a fascination with phallic-shaped buildings. I mean, I can't even say some of the names of these on stream, or my mom will get mad at me. She sent me a text saying, "Stop putting inappropriate jokes in my videos." And I said, "It's not me. It's Jared. Jared, I'm not trying to make jokes. I'm just trying to showcase my cousin's brilliant architecture, and he just happens to only make these kinds of buildings." So I asked him to stop doing it. But you sent me a new building you're working on, and am I getting? Wait, you worked on the Burj Khalifa?
I mean, my name won't show up in anything.
Jared, this is the Bulge Khalifa. I'm sorry, Mom. I don't write these jokes, okay? I do.
I gotta say, sometimes the design, you just gotta follow the design. The design takes you places.
The design takes control.
Yep.
All right. I'm sorry, Mom. I can't control what Jared does. But also, our last panelist today is my brother David, who works in IT, just like I used to before I quit. And I don't have a clever intro for him, but you did send me another picture of your workplace, David.
Yep.
I really hope that it's the same picture. This is getting really awkward. But apparently that's all he does all day. So, also the enigmatic trophy husband himself, me, technically Mexican. So, welcome to an after show. We're going to get into episode 8. Let me switch. Hide on stream. All right. Oh, also another show note to our wonderful dedicated 10 viewers. Thanks for sticking around, and my channel's still not monetized yet, so I can't even activate super chats, which means we'll see your just regular chats. And we try to answer as many of your questions on stream as we can. It's easy because we don't have any viewers. I mean, we don't have like 100 people watching. So, Jared's muted.
I was coughing.
Oh, okay.
I may do that periodically.
All right. So thanks for coming out today, guys. Let's talk about episode 8, the season finale of season 1. I guess we go to David, right? David's our resident low level spoiler. Yeah. What did you feel?
This episode fell flat in almost every way. It was just anticlimactic. It still didn't explain everything in the world, didn't explain the magic, and there's a couple things in here that were frustrating with how they went through it. And also, if I wasn't somewhat familiar with the world by watching this channel mostly and talking with some of you guys, then some of the shots would have been really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So not a great episode, not a great finale to this series, but I don't know, hopefully they can listen to criticism and fix it for next series, but if they go season 2, but I don't know, as a whole I was not impressed.
Okay, yeah, similar feelings for me. I got to watch it with Nathan and Jared. We were all together, and
hey, where's my invite?
It was you were busy that day.
You didn't even check if I was busy. Okay, what did you watch it? Huh?
I didn't invite you because there wasn't room in the house. I had just there's a big family. Okay, and okay, so. The whole time I was watching episode 8, I just kept thinking, oh no, this is confusing for me. I can't even imagine what non-book readers are experiencing right now.
Right.
Yeah. What'd you guys think?
Do you have thoughts, Jared?
Oh yeah, I have thoughts. I definitely have lots of thoughts. Thoughts on the show, though. I just feel like I was expecting something different for sure. I was expecting something that kind of helped tie it all together. I mean, it's hard, right? Because I guess the season finale, you want to try to leave them on a cliffhanger sometimes, right? Say,
right.
Oh, you got to keep watching. So there are going to be some unresolved stuff. There's going to be some things to hopefully, hook us and drag us into the next season.
Of course.
But there were a lot of stuff that I don't know why they did it. You know, there's a lot of questions for me. I'm like, why did you do it this way? I think that it was enjoyable to watch. There were definitely some oohs and ahs while we were watching with some of the visual effects and things like that. But other than that, past the oohs and ahs, it was like, wait, why are we? What's happening here? And wait, what just happened there? And so there was a lot of questions that came up where I was like, okay, this is more than just trying to leave us on a cliffhanger. This is like
just confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's some good stuff in this episode for sure, but a lot of interesting choices.
Yes.
Indeed.
On that note, I would say I feel pretty similarly. First impressions, because when we watched it together, we were all, I feel like I can speak for us all to say we're all a little disappointed and angry. After watching it that first night, we had pretty high expectations, I think. I did watch it again, and the second time through it was better.
Same.
A lot of my criticism is still there. Like the things that really frustrated me are still there.
But like knowing where they were going on the second watch, it wasn't as offensive. I still have complaints. I still have a lot of complaints.
Excuse me. Like the first time I watched it, literally that was going through.
Excuse me. The audacity.
Specifically the Perrin storyline, which we can go.
That doesn't
later.
Get better. That does not get better on a second. That gets worse on the second viewing. Anything Perrin in this episode
really does.
does not improve on a second viewing.
So first impressions pretty disappointed. Second impressions is better with those expectations going in. I am excited to see what they're going to do. I know I've said this multiple times, but I'm trying to take into fact that it's a first season. The pandemic has really messed things up, as well as an actor leaving. So some things are going to be difficult, but I am a little concerned to say it mildly about the direction things are going. So we'll see.
They could still save it, but
they 100% could.
Yeah.
If they listen to criticism, then
I for sure have not given up hope on the series. There are still a lot of positive aspects to the show, and it 100% can be saved. I was listening to Brandon Sanderson's podcast because I like podcasts. He has a podcast with Brandon Mole. Yes. Brandon Mole, because they're good friends and both authors, and they were talking about how the show in general, and Brandon. It's not Brandon Mole. It's Dan. It's Brandon's friend, not Brandon Mole. I said the wrong name. I think it's Dan. Dan Wells. That's it. So Dan's perspective of the show was he said, I just hope that people don't complain too much and ruin their only opportunity to have these books adapted, which is a valid point. I don't think we'll ever see another adaptation of this in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. So this is the one shot that we have. And so I feel like most of us, I feel like our approach on this panel is we realize this is our one shot. So we don't want to say, oh, we hate everything about it and just cancel the show. But at the same time, we do hope that our criticisms are heard so that it can be improved. And I think that now is the best time to complain because the show is already approved for seasons 2 and 3. We're gonna get 3 seasons. So if we get all our complaints out now, and they could fix it within the, and if they fix these problems, I for sure, I definitely agree the show can be saved. I don't want to see the show canceled. I want to see it fixed.
Yeah, definitely. I am worried though, but
I'm definitely worried. And let's get into it, right? Let's get into our worries. Let's change the ticker. Oops, and I didn't even edit that. So we're talking about full season 1 and book 1. I'm thinking this episode might have to be a little bit different in how it's structured, because it's going to be really hard to talk about this without doing full spoilers. So like I have like the full breakdown, but taking notes on this show was almost as confusing as the episode itself. So I have like the scenes broken down, and then like halfway through I switch for just and just focus on each character, because it starts cutting between them really fast. But I kind of want to try and get through the whole breakdown a lot faster than we've been doing on previous episodes, so that we can talk about the episode as a whole. Does that make sense?
Why don't you give your synopsis, and we won't do any commentary, and then we'll go back and talk about all our feelings.
I'm fine with that. What do you guys think?
Talk about our feelings.
I don't know.
Therapy session.
My feelings.
Commence.
Yeah, let's do like a high level kind of walkthrough, and then we can kind of go into things further from there.
Okay. Well, it starts off with the prologue, which is Luz Theron talking to who is called an Aes Sedai himself, a man, talking to another Aes Sedai about his plans to go and cage the Dark One. And the Aes Sedai says that his plan is stupid and will fail. And says, I can't talk about that yet. And then we get the shot that David was referring to, and let me share my screen. So David said you were confused that there were ships and it was sci-fi. This is something I think the show actually did very well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
This was foreshadowed in episode 1, like the first scene, right?
Yes.
So David, there are hints that this is post-apocalyptic.
I get that, but if you're not paying attention, because I saw that shot in the first episode, and I said, "Oh yeah, I know what those are," because I had talked to you before. But if if I hadn't seen that, I wouldn't have picked this out, and then that last shot would have been like, "What the heck? Why are there spaceships?"
Yeah, but I can also see it working for the show's favor, in that, like, wait a second, why are there these sci-fi things? And then people will go back and watch, and then pick up the clues, and like, oh wait, this is post-apocalyptic.
Well, that's kind of the fun too, right? Like when you're realizing as you're experiencing the show that it's post-apocalyptic, instead of coming into it knowing
that's true.
So
yeah.
Well, just another comment on this, and I don't know if this synopsis thing is going to happen, because it looks like we're going to have
there's a lot to talk about the first scene, though, okay?
But I think this is what I'm thinking, like, because they're hinting that it's a sci-fi, but there's no connection between that person in the beginning and Rand, the new dragon, right? So it's like, what's this person and what's this sci-fi thing? You know, like David's point where he's like, wait, like it's sci-fi? So that would be very confusing, since they haven't connected those two people at all. It's just like,
right.
Oh,
they kind of do in the bonus content, because when they show the dragon be reborn in the very first of those, he looks very similar to that guy.
Right. But my issue is that bonus content needs to be part of the show. Like the best world building and is all in the bonus content.
They could do it.
Needs to be in the show.
They could do them as the cold open, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a really good point there.
I agree. I'd like the bonus content, but to like rely on it for the show to make sense is offensive.
And then make it so difficult to find as well.
It's the same issue that Star Wars has, and lots of other things. They're like, this makes a lot more sense if you go and read this book or read this comic or read. You shouldn't have to rely on external material to make your main meat story make sense. And that's how I feel about the show. I mean, there's so much world building and explaining of the magic that isn't in the show itself, and you can find it in the short synopsis blurbs that they have written in there, and those short little animated videos. Those are great. Those are awesome, but they need to be in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I don't know how this is going to work either. How about what if we change it to spoiler level 3 and just try not to spoil huge plot points for David? and then kick him out at the end.
Spoil
I
them
don't
for
care.
David.
I don't care. You can keep me on the whole
All
show
right.
tonight.
All right, tell us in the chat if you want us to move immediately to spoiler level 3 so we can talk more freely about this, because this episode is pretty hard to do. So let us know if you want full spoilers from the get-go, or if we should try and do this in a way that just will be hard to talk about. But so
Your choice doesn't help, too, Diggity.
All right. Okay. Here's what we'll do. Look, I'll put the spoiler. I'll change the ticker just as a warning. We'll still try and be respectful, and then obviously talk more spoilers at the end. But because we just can't talk about. Yeah, the spoilers are in the chat already too. Yeah, it's impossible to talk about this episode. Okay, so the prologue, the problems with the prologue, which the chat has definitely hit on. First off, I don't think that scene is bad. It introduced some cool world building. The problem is it's not the prologue that you get in the books, and it's not as good as the prologue that you get in the books, which is jarring and awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so like I'm okay. I mean, maybe it could work as a cold open for season 2, the prologue from book 1, but like whenever they bring it in now, I'm just going to be disappointed because like we should have gotten it sooner. So, but the biggest problem with this scene is what the Aes Sedai says to Lews Therin. She's she says exactly what the Dark One's plan actually is.
Ends up being
how there is no possible way that anyone would have known, right?
Yeah.
It's a gut punch in the books when you actually find out what because they were trying to do this noble thing. The world was in chaos, and Lews Therin is we really only have one shot at this, so I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna take 100 guys with me, and we're just gonna try and put the Dark One in a cage. And as the Dark One's counterstroke, he taints the source, the male half of the source, Saidin, which I don't even think they've differentiated in the show yet. They haven't said Saidin and Saidar.
In the bonus content, you can,
okay.
The bonus content is
okay.
Exactly.
But like it's a tragedy. It's a beautiful tragedy because they're trying to do this noble thing, and it comes at the cost of all men, right? Like they all get punished for trying to save the world. And the fact that the Aes Sedai from the get-go already know that it's going to go badly, and they already know exactly what the Dark One's plan is, makes them look really bad when they refuse to help. Right?
Yeah.
If the women knew what the Dark One's plan is, it's their fault.
Or the risk involved too, right?
It's the women's fault that this happened because they didn't go and help. Because if you've read the books, we can get into it a little bit, more spoilers. You needed both of them there. If they were both there, it would have worked.
I think that's implied. I don't know if it's necessarily.
But they straight up said, "Hey, we know your plan. We know your plan's gonna fail.
Yeah,
we're not gonna help you. We're just gonna pick up the pieces because you screwed up." It doesn't they're trying to make the men look bad, but in reality it makes the women look bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the very least, her prediction was exactly spot on. It's like, hey, you're going to go do this.
It's not they don't even say it's a prediction. They say, they straight up say this is what's going to happen. Well, it's not a prediction.
I thought she says if he touches the source or whatever, he'll.
Yeah, if he's able, if he touches the source,
if he touches the source, he could corrupt it, and then you'll set us back centuries. It's like. That's exactly what happens.
That's 100% what happened. But she doesn't, and the way it's phrased, she doesn't even say this is a possibility. There is a danger here that could, she says it like she knows it's going to happen, and because it does. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't get the actual prologue over this scene is makes it even worse because Prologue is so good. All right, let's stop talking about this, so we'll be on it all day.
Like I want to go into that more in like big spoilers.
Yeah,
because I have like some dissent and discussion there. So
okay, we'll get back into it at the end too. Okay, so then when we get into the actual show, it starts off with Moraine and Rand, and she immediately calls men stupid again. We're in the Blight. You see this body. She says, "Stupid boys in way over their heads from the Borderlands like to test themselves against the Blight. Also, don't touch anything in the Blight. It will consume anything." And then 20 seconds later, like David points out, go ahead and take a nap and touch the Blight. Also, when he wakes up from his sleeping, she's just standing there. She doesn't rest. She's just awake the whole. She just says, "Hey, go take a nap," and just waits. And on top of that, she said that the Eye of the World is only a day's walk from Faldara. Why are they taking breaks at all?
That's a good point.
Why are they taking breaks?
Yeah, but also that line about, that silly, foolish boy comes into the Blight and he's way over his head. I'm like, you're describing Matt, and it's your fault. You're throwing him in this. Rand. Yeah, I'm sorry. See,
exactly.
I'm still doing that. I'm still.
He's not prepared because you haven't prepared him.
Exactly. You're throwing him in,
because
and I did appreciate
to keep the identity of the Dragonborn secret. You couldn't build his character at all.
Yeah, and I did appreciate that they did have one line there that says, "Why didn't you prepare me for this?" or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, you thought it was naive, right?"
You thought it was naive. Okay,
but still, Egwene. Oh my gosh. I'm
David, I'm so sorry.
I'm all over the place. Yeah, you thought it was Egwene, but okay, fine. I appreciate that they put that line in there, but still, if she thought it was Egwene, you should still hedge your bets and train everybody.
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking? It's just such a moronic
which
plan.
Apparently, was her plan. She was going to throw all 5 of them at the Blight, and just 4 of them were going to die.
Right. So why not train them and explain how the magic works, or how you channel, how you reach the source.
Where she talks to him, he's like, "Well, can you train me?" And she's like, "No, I can't train you.
Yeah,
because you'll go mad." Not that the real reason she can't train him.
The real reason she can't train him is because male and female channeling works very differently.
Yeah.
And if a man took the woman's advice on how to channel, they would be killed instantly.
See, that's another thing where they haven't explained that at all. So of course they couldn't put that in there.
If a man tried to teach a woman to channel and she did what he does, she wouldn't be able to do anything. If a man does what a woman does, they would be killed.
I mean, that could have been such a good moment to explain that.
Yeah,
it could have been a great moment to explain how the magic works.
Hey, spoiler, David. Cool. In the end spoiler, when we usually go over all of this, Alan gets a little more heated.
Yeah, he gets a little excited. Which is fine.
Yeah.
I have to pull away from the mic. I
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm passionate, and clearly not because I hate the show, because I want it to be better than it is. That's what gets. I don't get passionate about things that I hate at all, right? Like if I watch a movie that's bad, I don't care. It's a bad movie. But if I watch a movie that had so much potential to be good with just tiny fixes too, these aren't the things that they could have done to fix this season are not difficult. Just tweak a couple little lines of dialogue and it would have been so much better. So the fact that the answer is there to make the show better in a very simple way and they don't take it, that's when I get like this. That's when I get worked up.
Actually, that's a good comment. Nate, it looks like you had something though. Go ahead.
Passionate,
go ahead.
dark, smart.
I was just going to go into things I didn't like about this whole scene, and then things I did like, and we can do that afterwards.
Well,
that's the thing. There's lots to like.
I was just going to say really quick that I think generally that's kind of something that I've. For example, so we were talking about it with Tim a little bit too. So we were talking about it with Tim, and Tim was getting frustrated about how it didn't follow any of the books or anything.
Oh yeah, Tim is your brother, and he has texted me that he absolutely hates the show. He was gonna be on the show, and he's like, I'm not watching it anymore.
Yeah, he's pretty upset because they just didn't do a lot of stuff, and it didn't follow it very well. But we were talking about it, and as we were talking about it, we actually mentioned, we're like, okay, if they had done this whole season as a movie, it would have been trash.
Yeah.
Because they're rushing through it, right? And I think that's the problem, is they're trying to rush through all of this content instead of taking their time to build it the way that it needs to be built.
Well, that's the thing, though, because we all agree it could have been better with 10 episodes instead of 8
or 12.
Yeah,
but still, like 8 hours to make one book is pretty
decent.
That's decent.
Yeah.
Like Lord of the Rings extended does 3 books. I think if you take the first 2 books, it's the same size as this book. So if you take both Lord of the Rings, the first 2 movies, that's like 6 hours.
Yeah,
that's 2 less than we got here. I get that they are trying to rush it, and it feels rushed, even though they have 8 hours, because they're adding in a bunch of ancillary stuff.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's the problem. We had that whole episode about the Warders and the Aes Sedai, right? Like, that wasn't even in the books, but that whole episode was focused on that one suicide, right? And so it's like, why are we taking episodes like that when we should be explaining more or focusing more on the story?
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, and the stuff that they have added that's not in the books isn't bad.
Yeah,
it's just, but it takes away from the quality of the book.
Yep,
exactly. Then they had the whole episode after that about the Amarylline seat. And like, okay, that's all fine, but we're not getting the development that we need over here.
Exactly. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, two more episodes would have been great, but I don't think that we can just use that as an excuse, you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, that they wasted 2 episodes too, right? So like,
out of when they found out, like, because they thought they might get 10, and then it was no, you only get 8, and then then you take 2 more away.
Yeah, right. Because if you have 8 episodes, what are you going to do? You're like, okay, well, shoot. Now we got to cram this much story into this much episodes. Why are you telling 2 episodes on stuff that we don't need right now? Like,
right.
I mean, really, if you're counting, there was like more than 2.
Well,
Let's be honest here. Like,
that's that idea, right? It's like you've only got 8 episodes, so let's tell the story that needs to be told here. And they chose these other things that weren't necessarily essential to the story or the plot line to make sense of what we're going into.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll get off my head.
So after that, there's introduction to the Blight, and then we go back to Faldara. And I will say, the first shot you get of Faldara makes the city look a lot bigger than it does when you see it in the episode previous, when it looked kind of small.
Yeah.
And then we get everyone talking, and they're mad because Rand's gone, and they're like, we can't follow the party into the Blight because we don't know where they're going, except that they do know where they're going. They're going to the Eye of the World. Now, they might not know how to get there, but shouldn't Lan know where it is if Moraine knows where the Eye of the World is? Isn't Lan the maps guy?
Well, maybe that's how he shows up so
Isn't
fast.
Lan the one who's from here?
Very true.
Lan is from Melkir.
They showed
not only that.
How does Lan not know how to get to the Eye of the World, but Moraine does?
I mean,
not
he
only
was
that, but
a baby, so he's been in Faldara for sure. But
yeah.
But they also show him later when he is tracking her with whatever secret.
Whatever Nynaeve told him, which we don't know.
But he sees the same landmark that Moraine points out, and so we can surmise from that he knows he's headed in the right direction. So it's like, if he knew the landmark, he should have known how to get there without Nynaeve's help. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. And I like this comment, but I don't think it works as an excuse. Obviously, COVID messed up Matt's character, and so they had to switch around the story. But it would have also given them more time to work on the CGI.
That's
so true. The CGI should look better than it does, and that's a comment that I.
Well, the other thing too with that comment is we're not in 2020 right now. We're in 2021.
Yeah,
we had a whole other year to work on this, right? Like,
but the United States is different in their restrictions than Europe, where they're filming, and specifically in some of the bonus content too, which I generally don't watch. They mention how the Blight was supposed to be different, but they couldn't go to the location because of COVID, so they had to make those sets. So it is stuff like that where I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But still, you can only excuse it so much, you know?
Yeah, because the CGI was not great. There were shots that were good, but most of the shots of the Trolloc, the CGI looked really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like CW Supergirl quality.
That comment is interesting, though, because one of the questions I had was like, where is their army? This is a borderland city who presumably has been stopping these people from coming through, and suddenly he takes him and his personal guard to the wall. Yeah, that's all he takes. And there's no army.
Okay, we have to get back to horses. Yeah. We're going to touch on that again because that comes up later. Okay, but talking plot wise,
throw up Ice Pepper Aja's comment there. I think that hits on what we were talking about before. And I think you're right. We had 2 episodes on the
we still don't know how
Aes Sedai Waterbond, and it still hasn't explained exactly how it works.
Yeah. Well, we know now that she has to mask it using the one power because she can't unmask it now that she doesn't have access to the power. That's pretty much the
only other thing we got to talk about later.
Yeah. Okay. So we Faldara, they're upset they can't follow him, and then Perrin has a scene with Egwene where she says, I need to go to Rand because I love him," and then Perrin says, "So do I," and I made some jokes when we were watching this about that's the love triangle. It's not that they both love Egwene, it's that they both love Rand. Watching it again, I think I might have been right. The way he says it, he pauses and he's like, "So do I." I don't know. And there's some theories online that maybe Perrin is into Rand instead of Egwene. And
you know how much I should be for this.
Go watch the scene again. Go watch the way he says, "So do I." I get it. You can love your friend. I love you guys. I love my brother. I love my cousins, and I have lots of friends. And I straight up say I love you guys to my friends. Yeah. Watch the scene again.
But we're
this is speculation. I'm not sure, but if they make Perrin, I guess we'll find out season 2 when they cast Fael if it's a man or a woman.
Oh no!
See, but then right after that, they're like, "Are we good?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll always be good." And then snuggles up to her. So I don't know. Maybe
that seemed more like platonic friendliness to me, but yeah, the love triangle thing is stupid. Okay, and then we see Malkir. That's the landmark that you guys are talking about in the Blight, which Land should know how to get to.
That was a highlight. I really like that. The design, it's like Cambodian almost, which is really cool.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. It brings up another problem. Moraine says, this Blight stuff is just another sign that the Dark One's strength is building. But she just said the reason they're going to the Eye of the World is because the Dark One is weak and they might have a chance to kill him. So there's a lot of contradiction. Like their whole plan is that the Dark One is weak and we might be able to kill him if we do this, right? Moraine's plan doesn't make any sense. It's terrible. Doesn't make sense.
I agree that doesn't make sense, but I don't think those two statements are mutually exclusive. Yeah, he can still be weak, but still growing, and you want to hit him while he's still weak before he gets too powerful.
Okay,
all right. I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Is this the scene, though, where you see them looking back at the wall?
Not yet.
Yeah, that was weird.
First, Lana and Nynaeve break up.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, wait, no. I think it is the scene.
I feel like it was the scene because I remember being like, first of all,
they see the Trollocs running.
Which brings up another problem.
Where are these Trollocs coming from? Why aren't they encountering them on their way to the thing?
It brings up another problem because Lan leaves after that scene and still finds Moraine. How did he get past the Trollocs?
He's just really sneaky.
It's a funnel. It was full of Trollocs. You'd have to climb the mountain,
which would take days if he did it that way.
None of that makes sense. I was so frustrated.
Yeah, that was another. Maybe he teleported again.
Yeah, we know that he
That's why they showed it in the
probably
other
just
episode,
teleported
David.
past the Trollocs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that was another bad editing thing because it showed the Trollocs like running towards the thing.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay, but Lan and Nynaeve break up. And then she reveals that she didn't track him. She tracked Moraine, and Moraine has a tell that you can track. If Lan's been living with Moraine, he would know what Moraine's tell is, or he would know how to cover it up. Because Lan is an expert at like covering up tracks, right?
But also,
I thought.
Could you tell us what it is?
What's the tell?
Like, oh,
I
it's just a
thought
mystery.
she was going. This would have been a cool moment.
I agree.
I thought she was going to say, "I didn't track you. I tracked her because I could feel the power."
Or I thought
that would have been good, right?
Yeah, something along, or how they mentioned like healing, right? Like,
because women can sense other women who can channel. It could have been her instinctually following Moraine because she can channel, and she didn't even know it.
That's what I assumed, and that's why I thought she was going to go with Lan and lead him because he couldn't track her. But then she like tells him the secret of how to track her through the Blight. It's just like, what?
Also, this is great. They were all on horses when Nynaeve was tracking them, which is the same. They were on horses in the books, but they were going through the woods, and Lan was backtracking constantly to cover up their tracks. So I mean, but yeah, the fact that like they're just trying to say that Nynaeve is just a better tracker than Lan here. Like Nynaeve is a great tracker, but Lan's the expert here.
I love the what Lan was telling Nynaeve. He's giving her a little pep talk, like, "Oh, you're wonderful. You're strong. You're beautiful. You're a Mary Sue." I just kept expecting him to throw that out there.
Okay. And they pull a line from the books here, which is really good, but it doesn't work in the show, and I'll tell you why. Where he says, they break up, and he says, I'll hate the man that you pick, but I'll love him if he makes you happy. That's from the books, and it's good writing. You know why it doesn't work here? They just slept with each other. This comes off as like frat boy, like,
I'm just not taking things too seriously.
Now that I've got it. I'm just not in. I can't commit to a woman, right? You know what would have made this scene work is if last episode when she comes in and says, "Do you want me to leave?" and he says yes,
or he says that right then.
But think about it. He says yes. She gets offended. She's like, "Wait, he doesn't love me." And then she finds out from some other character that he is the king, and he's like basically. From his birth, he's been destined to die fighting in the gap, and then she can go back in this episode saying, "Hey, like you don't get to make this choice for me, right? You don't get to say that you don't love me just because you're destined to die. Like that should be a choice that I get to make." And then
they sleep together.
But like, wouldn't the scene have worked so much better that way?
Yeah, actually, I agree.
I do love you, but I will not. I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to string you along.
Yeah.
It also
he gets what he wants and he pieces out.
It also doesn't make sense because they just established that Lan and Moraine are Warder Aes Sedai bond, right? But he gets to go and have his own thing. So what makes it any different if she becomes an Aes Sedai and has her warder? They can still have their own thing.
It's silly.
But, I mean, they just established that. So
well,
the reason that she doesn't...
And it's not very well established. The reason he says that line in the books is because he knows he's riding to his death. What's the term?
He raises what are we talking about?
Daishan. As Daishan, he is the king of Malkir, the city that's overrun by the Blight. And he knows that come the last battle, all of like the ancient remnants of Malkir who fled the city will join him and fight at the Gap and fight the Blight, and he knows it's a death sentence. Like from his birth, he knows that in the last battle he's going to have to go and give his life at the Blight, and so he says to Nynaeve in the books, I can't love you because I don't want to leave you a widow. And it's beautiful in the books.
Yeah, but then again, that would require more backstory and world building that they haven't set up or explained in the show. So
yeah, see, but then it leads back to the point that they're like rushing things. Like, why does that need to be part of that right now? Like, it's like, take the time to develop it, right? Any good relationship's gonna need that development anyways, right? So, I mean, it like. We're talking about how they literally slept together, and now they're like, "Oh yeah, I need you," right? Well, it's like we haven't let this develop or saturate it at all.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I'm like, it's better than the.
It's better than the book. It's
because the book literally there's nothing.
So, I agree. Like
at least it was developed a little bit. Unlike
you get to see more of that progression where it's like, hey, like I have feelings for you, because you don't see that until. Much later.
After book one, their relationship does progress better than it's done here. But at least they're showing it from the get-go instead of just coming out of nowhere like it does in book one.
Yeah, so
I like at the same time I like that they finally took a line directly from the book. It's just used wrong here, I think.
I agree.
Okay, so right after that, Rand talks to the Dark One. Because he went to sleep.
This is the first dream sequence, which
I honestly really like. I really like how his approach is to just be like, just talk with him. I thought that was really cool. Like, oh, this is going to be scary. Oh no, hey, look, I don't want to be mean to you because I want you to join me. I thought that was really cool. Also, though, if you're going to do that, why would you start with a jump scare and stab Moraine? And if he's
That's
the
true.
one who's coming into his dream, why is Moraine in the dream at all? Right?
Yeah,
I just didn't like what's going on with
his
face?
costume.
And then suddenly it just sucks into his eye.
Well,
I thought
it
that
was like a mask. He had a piece of cloth over his face, and then he sucks it in.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool visual. But then at the end, it's like, okay, now you're just wearing a suit.
Once it was gone.
I thought it was cool. Like when you finally, it's like kind of really disappeared, and you're like, oh, it was just like a piece of cloth. Like you can see there's designs on there.
It does look weird.
He is in a business suit, and he's not threatening at all, which is probably what they're kind of going for. But
here's the thing. The costumes from the Age of Legend, right? I really liked Lews Therin. I liked his suit. It was almost like a military general, but also it felt like Star Trek almost.
Yeah,
his suit felt like
more like Imperial Star Wars to me.
I liked it, and then. The Aes Sedai was basically wearing the same thing that the Dark One was wearing. It was just white, and it worked. But then the Dark One is wearing the girl's suit, and it just looks weird.
Well, that was something I was going to point out earlier too, because you see that in that first scene they're mirrored. So he's all in black and she's all in white, and she's the white flame, right? She's
and
Tamerlane. So it's like this nice little bit of
the yin
content, right, for people. And I hadn't thought about it till now, but maybe that was intentional that they put him in black and white.
Okay.
Right? So they kind of mix those two things and make it kind of ambiguous.
It still looked like a girly suit.
100%. Well, it didn't look futuristic. It was an odd choice. It wasn't menacing. Even
I liked his
subtly
acting.
Menacing, right? Like you can try to be offhanded and put people on their ease in your costuming and still have a little bit of menace to it. And I didn't get any menace from him.
I liked it. I liked his acting when he's talking.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him. But the costuming.
Okay.
Just distracted me.
The costuming was silly.
It's
a power suit, basically.
It's a pantsuit. Yeah, it is.
It's a pantsuit. Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird, and it's like he had his untucked shirt. Like it looked.
It wasn't even. He didn't even tuck in his shirt. My wife said that. She's like,
at the bottom
is his shirt tucked in?
It was clearly intentional that way, but it just.
I was gonna say, like, it could be intentional, right? Because you're talking about how, Lews Therin was all tucked in and sort of major like,
Yeah.
right? And then he's more like an untucked kind of guy, like skater guy. I don't know.
He's cool.
But, like, yeah, he's cool. He's
Honestly, I think if
he
it
doesn't
was
wear a
corporate,
tie to
he
work.
does look very corporate, and I think it was intentional.
Yeah.
100%. I think it was intentional.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was off-putting and not very intimidating or scary for sure.
Yeah, you should have given him some bags under his eyes or dark circles or something, scar. I don't know, something to make him look like
Maybe a cloth on his
guy.
face.
A cloth on his face, yeah, with glowing red ember eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the talking was good. I thought it was a good way to show, like, hey, look, you don't have to make this choice. You can join me, and I'm trying to help you.
Also, generally a good jump scare too. If I'm like,
but
one of the best parts of the thing.
But then when he wakes up from the dream, wouldn't you be like, wait, Moraine, is there someone behind you? Like, he's unconcerned.
Yeah, right. Because she says
like,
the exact same thing.
Exactly.
She says the same words, so he should jump up and like push her away, and then, oh wait, there's no one behind you. And then she's like, wait, did you just have a dream? And then he says, yeah, I had a weird dream where you got stabbed in the throat, but I'm unconcerned about you in the real world at all.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. I thought that it was cool that dream sequence was cyclical and came back. But yeah,
and he didn't even say, wait,
weird. He was just like,
and he wasn't even like looking behind her at all.
Yeah.
And then he straight up asks, what's the plan? Because there isn't one.
Yep.
Yeah. And he says, I'm just going to give you a sangreal and it will make your power times 100. Yeah. I mean, and I mentioned this last episode. Moraine looks really stupid here. Like, her plan is way more arrogant than Lews Therin's plan to cage the Dark One ever was. And the fact that she still thinks that Lews Therin's plan was arrogant, and she thinks she can kill the Dark One with a times 100 multiplier and an untrained dragon is just silly. Okay, then we go back to Faldara, and we find that Nynaeve can't hear the wind anymore ever since she started channeling, which I think is a cool touch.
That is interesting. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
And so Egwene reads the wind, and she says, wait, something is wrong on the wind. If I hear the same thing that I heard on Winter Night, except if that was she says, if that was a small noise, then this is a scream. And then they don't warn anyone.
Oh man!
They literally said, "Hey, the Trollocs are going to come," and then they go talk to Min instead of maybe warning the king who they're in grace with, who've been introduced to. They could run and say, "Hey, there's Trollocs coming. I just felt it on the wind."
Yeah.
I missed that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. Honestly,
and then it cuts right back to Rand, who has zero training, and he says, "Teach me how to use the one power." And she says, "Oh, I could if I wanted to, but it'll make you go crazy." Like, that takes time.
So bad.
Maybe give him a little bit of training, right? And the power will just come to you when you need it, right? Okay.
It was such a cop-out, I felt.
We already talked about it though, so we go back to Min, and I really liked. I liked how that scene started off. She just tells the guy sitting at the bar, "You're going to want to move because these crazy ladies are going to come yell at me." I liked that sassy moment. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to get yelled at by Nynaeve or something." But then, I mean, the scene doesn't really give him anything other than like a Min's vision of everyone's going to die, and then she doesn't warn anyone.
She doesn't either. That was something I thought. Like,
yep.
You just saw all of that. And she just leaves. She's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it shows her piecing out and fleeing the city at the end, right? It's like, okay, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone has a question. How
Sorry,
did the Dark One travel to the dream world when he was supposed to be caged? I don't think that's him traveling to the dream world. I think that's him entering Rand's dream, and those are two different things.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too, and that's big spoiler. But he kills himself in that scene in Dream World. That would be
if he was in the dream world, he would have died. If you die in the dream, you die in real life. Have you guys seen that movie, the video game one?
Is it Tron?
If you die in the game, you die in real life. No, it's a horror movie. It's got Agent Cody Banks in it.
No,
it's good.
Yeah.
Is it good though?
It is genuinely good. I love that movie. It's terrible. So anyway, okay, and then the Trollocs show up. And they say there's 5,000 to 10,000 Trollocs and 60 Phage, which is cool until you see them.
I thought this was really awesome because we're finally going to see what the Phades can do, and then you just scream at the camera, and then later they follow Pat and Fane.
They chop off some heads.
That's all they do.
Yeah.
Chop some heads. And then the accepted lady, the lady with a smirk face, whose name I don't remember,
Lady Emelisa.
Algomar's sister says a line, "Oh, I told you that the Trollocs numbers were building." And because I was totally right about how they've butchered Algomar's character and turned him into the ignorant general who's doomed his entire people because he's ignorant and didn't listen to the girls. The Crispy sister.
The Crispy
Sister Crispy.
Or Sister Crispy. Yeah, that's a good one.
Sister Crispy, know your time.
I have a really question. I have a question about that, but it's really spoilery, and I just don't want to ruin things.
Okay,
so remind me later.
Okay, about what? About what? The Trollocs?
About Lord Algomar.
Okay, Lord Algomar. I will put it in full spoilers.
The real full spoilers, not the
fake.
Things gonna go down, David. You don't even know.
Okay, but how did his sister know that the Trollocs numbers were building and he didn't? He's the one fighting the Trollocs. Okay. Yeah. Then they get to the Eye of the World, and I gotta say it looks cool. It's a cool design. It's like one of those
Indian stepwells. I was gonna
Indian
very, very
or for like
Dark Knight Rises,
Israel. You know.
Yeah, like it's very Middle Eastern.
It's a cool little well. Spicy spoiler stash coming. Nothing really happens. They just walk down to it, and then we get the scene with the armor with Algomar and his sister, which is like needlessly dramatic. Like it should have been a dramatic scene, but he's like, I don't need my parents' armor. I need my armor, not theirs. And it sensed like. It felt like there was some like dialogue missing, like why the armor was important, but he's like, he gets weirdly uppity about it. He's like, I need my armor today, not my parents. And then we all immediately predicted it live. Oh, so she's gonna put on that armor,
which seems like maybe why they did that so that they could explain why she has this cool armor. But
she could have cool armor. It doesn't matter. What was the significance of the armor? Like, why would he care that he? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. There was something missing. Isn't this the scene
too where he does apologize to her?
Yes, he said, "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was a stupid dumb boy."
Which I didn't hate that, honestly.
No,
it was a nice moment.
That was done well. At least it wasn't the full trope of the ignorant general. At least he realizes the folly of his ways, but he's still the ignorant dumb general. So
one of my notes here was like, shouldn't they know what they're doing? Like, I don't understand.
Also, he gives a really bad pep talk in that scene. Everyone's doomed. We're all going to die. They're going to kill us at the tower, and then they're going to kill everyone in the city, and then they're going to kill everyone in the whole world. Yep. Good luck. Bye.
I'm going to be first.
We know it. We know. That's what we're saying. It was just an excuse to put Sister Crispy in the armor. But what was the significance of the armor?
Why does she need an excuse to wear cool armor? That's what I think. I'm like, she could just have cool armor, guys. We don't have to explain why she has it.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Then we jump back to Rand, and he gets memories from Lews Therin, and then gets pulled into a dream. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then when he it's obviously a dream. He's like, "Oh, it's Egwene, and we're married now, and I have a baby." And then it cuts to Moraine, and I thought the scene with Moraine and the Dark One was really cool. She lashes out and tries to stab him, and he is just so much more powerful than her that he just stops her weaves, and then he shields her. We all thought that she got stilled in that scene, but I watched it back, and let me find it.
Well, it's definitely not.
It looks different.
Yeah.
Look,
it looked different than when False Dragon, what's his name, got stilled.
It looked different from stilling, but it looked similar to shielding. This is the exact same thing that they showed when Logain was shielded, except this is like 2 frames. It goes like this, and then it shrinks. So he shields her, and then right after that, he does a little flick of his fingers.
So he like ties it off. Basically.
He ties off the weaves.
Oh my gosh!
So
That's
he does.
Cool.
He does this. He shows him flick his. So he shields her, and it also shows instead of like pulling stuff out of her, it shows his weaves go into her, and then it cuts to his hands, and he goes, and he ties off the weave. So she is not stilled. She's just been shielded from the source, but permanently until someone can undo the weave.
That makes me so much happy about that scene because
I was so concerned. We talked about this for like an hour after the show. We're like, okay, if Moraine is stilled at the end of this episode, you are just creating so many problems for yourself in the future because she has to do some important stuff much later on, and she won't be able to do that if she's stilled, which means you will have to do something else that happens even further down
another
along
episode
in the books
to make this like undone,
to fix the stilling, and so that you can fix the problem that you created, so that you can jump ahead further, so you can fix the other problem you created. So, and I was like, this is just. But if she's just shielded, someone can undo the shielding, and then the stuff can still happen.
Because that's kind of the thing, right? As long if it's knotted, you can figure it out yourself.
She could figure. Yeah, okay, that's a possibility.
That was the biggest thing. My confusion.
That was my biggest complaint with the episode. Yeah. Was that she gets stilled. That was.
But
like,
also when Lan finds her and says like unmask me, I was like, if you're stilled, you're not going to be unmasking
exactly
because you're going to know that she's stilled. Like, how is this working?
If she was stilled, their bond would have been severed.
Wouldn't be linked anymore. And that's where my questions. I was going to ask you guys, like, what is going on? What is happening?
So it's not as bad as I thought. Yes,
I'm
the visual
like
shield effect was the same as Logain. I just
tell you what the weirdest relief here. I'm like, okay,
exactly, because I was like, I don't know how they could possibly fix this and still remain truthful to any of the books. But if she's just shielded, it's possible.
Yeah. That was cool.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand this. I hope we get Maiden Avienda, and then she lays down the spears, and then goes to Wise One Avienda, and is awkwardly attractive in a dress. I mean, she's in a dress for a portion of the books. But I mean, you can't just have her. I don't know. You got some weird fetishes, man. Where were we? I got passionate and I got distracted. We're talking about the shield.
The dream sequence, basically.
So Rand's in a dream, and then Moraine gets. They want us to think she was stilled, but she was definitely shielded. Okay, then right after that scene, we get Ladies' Night.
Worst Ladies' Night ever.
Did you watch it a second time? The way that Nynaeve and Egwene just walk into that scene is so awkward, right? Why is it so weird? They just like walk. They're like, and they have this like weird look on their faces too. Like I don't know what's going on in that scene.
I had two questions about this. Two comments about this scene. One, Nynaeve is just accepting this link. Like, how? She's like, open yourself to me, and Nynaeve's like, okay. Like, I'm like, no. What?
You have to start channeling to open yourself up.
Yeah, and you also have to like, not have anger and trust issues, which is her whole deal.
Her whole deal is that she. That's fine.
The other thing,
I can see them just changing that though
Yeah.
If you want to, you can just pull from someone. If they're willing, you don't have to start the channeling yourself. That's a change I don't really care about. It's definitely a change from the books.
So it turns out I actually had 3 comments. I lied. So
Nynaeve is just needlessly hostile in this scene.
Yeah.
She shows up. Hey, we're here to help. Oh, you're Moraine's girls. I don't belong to anyone, you skank. I think the line is, we are no one's but our own. And I'm just like, Nynaeve, just chill. Okay?
But then,
like she's overbearing in the books, but it always has a purpose. In this, she's just being a jerk. Like,
I was just laughing because I was watching it by myself after that. So they've linked and they're like in this star formation and like all this stuff. And I was like, so imagine you can't see the one power. Like, what is happening? All these women just like, like in this circle. Like, not intimidating at all. I was like, I was just dying watching.
I want to address this comment though. That there's been no mention of Nynaeve having a problem channeling in the show. Yes and no. There was a scene in this episode where Nynaeve says to Egwene, I can no longer hear the wind, and Egwene has to listen to the wind and hears the Trollocs are coming.
I had a comment about that too, though.
Every time we've seen Nynaeve channel, it's in a burst of passion.
Right.
Because I'm wondering if all the effects of this scene that we can maybe go in a little later is going to be part of her block in season 2. Right? She just had some major trauma here and attached to the one power, and I could see them making that more.
If they hadn't addressed it in this episode by saying I can't hear the wind. I was on board. I was like, oh,
I don't know if that's necessarily like channeling. That's just more like this one thing that wasn't always associated with channeling, like,
but it is wielding of the power. They straight up say it is in episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, but they're not actually wielding anything right there, or you would have seen it.
No. Right? Moraine tells Egwene every time you listen to the wind, you're channeling.
But it doesn't, like, why aren't they showing them doing weaves?
I don't know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's part of the power. It's part of channeling. And Nynaeve isn't hearing it anymore. But that was just one thought of mine. Is maybe they're doing this now.
I had the same thought that her injury here is what's going to initiate her block come later on. Like it's PTSD almost, like.
Which is kind of nice because no more Mary Sue moments for a little bit.
Yeah,
for her or Moraine.
Except they just shifted the Mary Sue onto Egwene, who can just heal. That's like one of the hardest things to do in the books. So we've talked about
too.
That's probably what does.
We've talked about change baiting in the show, how they're just like, we're going to make a change, or are we? We're not. This episode does so much change baiting and so many like death teases. If you wanted to tease someone's death, have it be Nynaeve. Don't heal her. Have her be severely injured and no one's there to heal her. That's the death they should have been teasing, and not just turned Egwene into the Mary Sue.
Well, the burning out itself was like confusing to me because
it was very confusing.
Ice Pepper's comment, in the books you can't do that. You can't overdraw someone when you're in a link.
Yes,
and I was like so positive of that. I was trying to find where they said it, and I couldn't.
In the books, how it works is the person who's controlling the link, they can burn out, and it would immediately break the link. And anyone it would be impossible for anyone connected to burn out. Obviously, we have to make changes, and it was kind of neat to see her burning out the people who would have been weaker than her, because she was trained and she was an accepted. She was trained in the White Tower, so obviously the weaker ones are going to burn out. But then she definitely should have burned out before Egwene and Nynaeve, right? Because they're way powerfuler than him. But it was way too powerful for an accepted to just wipe out thousands upon thousands of Trollocs.
Visually,
in my
cool,
opinion,
but
it looked great. But
again,
I mean, and it kind of makes sense because like she does have training in the White Tower. She just never had power.
The power.
It was still too much. It was a little too much for me.
Yeah,
like
especially when you sent all the men to die, and they're like, oh yeah, we know the wall's not going to hold. But 5 women can wipe out the entire rest of the army. So, like, why not put the 5 women in the front or like with the men on the wall? And
yeah, I have a note.
Just like, what?
I definitely have a note about that for later.
Yeah.
Ladies' night.
Yeah.
Okay, from Ladies' Night, we go to Perrin talking with Loyal about the Way of the Leaf. This was another one of those scenes where, like, there's something missing here. Why does Loyal care about the Way of the Leaf? They've never talked about this before. Also, Perrin is just doing the Way of the Leaf now. After the last time we saw him talking with the Tinkers, he straight up said, I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
Is that what they're trying to show here?
They're trying to show conflict in that because he talked to the Tinkers and realized that the violence caused the death of his wife, that he wants to accept the Way of the Leaf, but it's not done well.
Yeah,
right?
He also brings up the Way of the Leaf in is it the last episode or the episode before when they get together
in Min's bar. He's telling them about it, but it sounded like he was making fun of it.
Yeah, that's what.
It's not clear that he's like interested, because that was our main issue with him in this entire episode, and I didn't understand that that's what they were trying to do at all. That's what
I had to watch it several times to figure out, oh, I guess he's just trying to follow the Way of the Leaf now, but the fact that he's talking about it with Loyal and they just have, there's no context to it, so it's very confusing. And then Loyal says, if you want to help but you don't know how, all you have to do is ask. And I gotta say, Loyal looks awful in this scene. Okay, we've complained about his hair before, but his hair in this scene is the worst it has ever been. It just looks so dorky. This looks, I don't know what about it, but this looks way worse than Loyal's introduction. It was kind of like, in his introduction, it was kind of like scraggly. In this, it's like I don't even know.
Maybe it's just lighting.
Also, there are some tweets about where Rafe says they spent millions of dollars on wigs, and I'm just like,
why?
Money well spent, I guess.
Hey, he went.
His hair looks so dumb.
Salon. He went to the salon here in this town and got a.
Oh yeah, he got a perm.
That's why he wasn't in the last episode. Oh my gosh!
Exactly. He disappeared. He got a perm.
We all thought he was at the library. He was at the salon.
He was at the salon
getting a perm. Okay. He looks like an 80s woman's perm, exactly. Yeah. Okay. I kind of like his beard. It looks like you can definitely tell it's just stuck onto his face, but I like how his beard is like frizzy. But the hair does not look good. Okay, then after that scene, in his dream, Rand tests Egwene to see if she's real and says, "Oh, do you remember that tree we carved it? What did it say?" That scene was a little weird to me. I don't know what it's trying to imply, because like she gets it right. And so is the Dark One just like giving him a glimpse of his own future? Like, is it actually real? Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't really know what to say on that scene.
I just found like all of those scenes really slow.
Very slow.
And just like I don't think it's really a secret to the audience what's happening here.
Yeah.
Right.
And so to spend so much time like building up like, oh, it could be real, really just pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we know it's not real.
In the scene after that, he said, this is a dream right now, but this could be real. All you have to do is wish that it is, and then you could have her. And so it kind of worked by the end. It just took way too long.
It just took so long to
when he says, like, this isn't my Nynaeve, or this isn't my Egwene, because she wanted to go to the One Tower. She liked other things more than me. So like it made sense, but it just took so long to get there. You're like, oh yeah, it's a dream. We know. And he says, I wonder if he'll choose the light or the dark. But there's a cool scene with Moraine, right? Where she pulls the knife to his throat. I actually really liked that until she spoke and said to the Dark One, "You didn't think I'd come here without knowing what I was walking into, did you?"
Yeah, right.
We kind of did. That's what you've been saying all along.
Yeah! When the audience knows you don't know what you're doing, to have the audacity to say that to the Dark One. And even after that, we find out she didn't even know it, because
yeah. And then the Dark One has a nice little line to Rand, is like, did no one tell you what you could do?
Yeah.
No one told him.
Or the audience, like you said,
Exactly.
no one knows what you can do.
Yep.
I would have loved to say, did no one tell you what you could do? Yeah, no. Nobody told me. I asked several times, and I didn't. No one told me. He's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, so here's how channeling works.
That's what happens, though. He's like, oh, let me start from the beginning.
Okay, so there's a flame and a
just assuming you're going to do what I want, right? As I'm teaching you, like, how to defend yourself, I guess.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew how to channel. Okay, lesson 1.
Whatever you do, though, don't pick up this sangria Buddha and channel into it, because
Sangria.
Sangria. Yes, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah,
but it's pretty spoilery, but not too spoilery. I mean, it's a thing that it's
Well, so picking up from a non-book reader, we've seen several times throughout the show that little fang symbol, and it's obviously half of the yin yang.
Yeah.
Because half of the power is tainted, so now I'm assuming the half of the symbol fang thing is a symbol or representation of the dark side of the.
Yeah, you're 100% right. The dragon fang is half of the yin yang, and it's the symbol for the male half. The flame of Tarvalin is the other half, which is the symbol for the female Aes Sedai.
Mm.
And
together, it is a symbol of.
They're Captain Planet.
With our powers combined.
Yeah.
That's not spoiler, because you find out in this episode there used to be male Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
The yin yang is the symbol of what the Aes Sedai used to be, men and women together.
Right.
Until the women said, no, we're not going to help you fight the Dark One.
Seriously.
Yeah, I do like that Moraine had a non-channeling plan, that she pulls a knife to his throat. That was cool. It was like brutal, and she said, I'm willing to sacrifice these kids, right?
And it was cool. The Dark One acknowledged, hey, you can't see his channels because he's a male, so you don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, she saw him channel. Well,
go.
she didn't see. She saw the Angreal light up. I guess it didn't really show her seeing his weaves. So
right. Well, but the Dark One acknowledged that you can't see his weaves because he's a male, so you don't know what he's doing.
Yeah. It's pretty much confirmed by the end of this episode that they were all tricked.
Yeah.
When he channels into the Angreal and channels it at the Dark One, he starts smiling, and then the thing underneath them cracks. But let's get into that in a little bit. First, we got to do the knife. And she said,
"No."
Well, Moraine says to the Dark One, I know that you can't escape this place without his help. But in the scene right before that, Rand says, hey, what is this place? And she says, I don't know. All of the books at the White Tower were destroyed by Dark Friends. So
does she actually say I don't know?
She says, I don't know. She says,
that could be just wordplay, I don't know what this place used to be.
It seems like they just messed up here, if I'm being honest. I'm gonna watch it back again, but I'm pretty sure she accidentally lied.
If he says, what is this place? I could realistically see her being like, I don't know what this place is. All the towers, no, wow, I don't. History, that makes sense to me. Not what's the purpose of this place? That's a little bit different.
It's just going to be the Obi-Wan moment. From my perspective, I didn't lie. Technically, I did tell the truth when I told you your daddy was dead. On
a side note, a little bit of my family today told me that I talk like an Aes Sedai because I'm very good at talking around. And being like, oh, I think you heard something that I didn't actually say. Interesting. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But
yeah, I mean, it's cool when it's used, but I don't know why she wouldn't tell him what it is if she knew, right?
Because she doesn't want to train him. She doesn't want to prepare him at all.
Like she already told him it was Dark One's prison. I genuinely think they messed up here and made her lie accidentally, but because it just doesn't make sense why she wouldn't tell him that. Yeah, the Dark One's going to try and escape, and he's get.
I mean, it does seem more like he's asking about the place, though, to me, because it's like this.
But that's the Dark One's prison.
Clearly...
They said that the Eye of the World is the Dark One's.
I know
prison.
he already knows that. They've told him that.
Okay,
the Eye of the World is the Dark One's prison. You know.
All right, I'm caught up on a point that probably doesn't matter that much, but okay. Then we get to Perrin's arc. Let's talk about. So Perrin helps. I have it written down because the last scene was Loyal saying, "If you don't know how to help, just ask." And so my note is, "This is Perrin helping." Wow, this is by far the worst part of the whole episode. Perrin's arc.
Ugh. One more time. Ugh.
Perrin shows up, and they're digging up the Horn of Valeer underneath Algomar's throne.
Before we go on, how do we feel about that?
Well, I knew that they were going to move the Horn of Valeer.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be here. Because if it's here, why aren't they using it?
They have to give it to the dragon. They say that in the episode, very matter of factly.
It's never been the fact that only the Dragon Reborn can blow the horn.
Yeah. Also, let's put this super important artifact that's like a key to the last battle right next to where all the bad people are. Like where the Trollocs are, right next to it.
They've had it the whole time. And I'm not going to tell David what it does, but they know that they're going to their death as well. Why not just give it a shot? Even if you don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, that was kind of confusing.
So Perry does...
Well, and I think that's where they're trying too hard to leave these plot points to carry on in the next season, right? I think they're going to definitely address that. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're I don't know. They've addressed a lot of our questions and concerns like this in the next episode. Maybe they'll do it in the next season, right?
This is a really good comparison. Perrin in this episode reminds me of Ray Fisher in the Justice League theatrical cut. He's just there and does nothing. Okay. So
how do we feel about, before we move on though, the box?
Yeah.
The
so
horn itself I thought was interesting. It's kind of futuristic almost.
Before that too, Perrin is the one who's talking to the girls and says, "No, we can't just leave. We have to do something to help." And then Perrin is the only one who doesn't do anything to help. His help is grabbing a pickaxe and helping these big, strong, buff guys to.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the box. It looked fine. It was a cool design. But then this is just the worst part. Podonphane and the Murdral sneak in. Cut off some heads, okay? Then they've dug up... they've exposed the Horn of Valeer. Perrin sees Podonphane. Walks after him.
Walks.
Wait, he doesn't say anything to anyone in the room. Hey, there's this creepy guy. He walks after Podonphane. He sees a bat. Then he comes back. And Podonphane has murdered everyone in the room.
Don't they hear the screaming of the Myrddraal before that though?
After
or around the same time?
The bat, he starts running and he hears fighting and screaming.
No, it's before that.
Oh,
so you hear the scream of a Myrddraal.
Perrin walks off. Then it shows Uno and them hear a Myrddraal scream. Perrin sees a bat, turns around, hears screaming, walks back, and they've killed everyone in the room. Uno gets stabbed by a Myrddraal blade, which is a death sentence unless there is an Aes Sedai to heal you in the books. Loyal gets stabbed by the Shatter Logoth dagger. It's Podon Fane learned to teleport from Rand. Yeah. Podon Fane was a decoy to do what? Explain to me what he was decoying. To lure... he was a decoy to lure Perrin out of the room. Perrin doesn't do anything. Why did he need to lure Perrin out of the room?
He could have summoned his wolfy powers.
Podon Fane get back there before Perrin did.
And how does he have the knife? Like, what is this? I don't understand.
How does he have the knife?
I was so upset when I saw that.
Why does he stabs Loyal with the knife?
Which is really bad. That's like an instant kill almost.
That's worse than a Murderall Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like instantly will like consume the soul of whoever gets stabbed. So like is Loyal actually dead?
No,
which makes it worse.
Even worse.
It ruins it not only ruins Loyal, it ruins the knife.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize it was the knife until Nate pointed it out to me just like an hour or two ago. But that makes it so much worse. Like just the fact that it's that knife. Like there's so many more holes and so many more questions now. I'm just like
so upset.
Why is that important? And before that, if the knife is calling Matt back, and we see Matt go into this mysterious dark town, which we presume
Tarvalon, isn't it?
Tarvalon.
When we watched it, we all thought that it was Shadowlogoth.
I thought it was Tarvalon.
Okay, it is Tarvalon because you see the White Tower. The problem is it's the same set.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I hate
Tarvalon at night looks like Shadowlogoth. Okay, and there is no one in the street.
Yep.
And
this
what's
is
he doing?
Tarvalon.
If the dagger
this is literally a city that would never sleep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's he even doing there? What's he doing there?
And why is he there? If the dagger's not there,
why
is Matt there?
Right?
You know, I'm so.
As soon as they showed me that, I was like, I am even more confused now. There are
it
so
would
many
have
more
made
questions.
sense if Podon Fane didn't already have the knife, because it sets up season 2. Oh, he's going after the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have just left that out entirely.
Okay, but then Podon Fane just monologues to Perrin and says, "We tricked you, dumb idiots. There were 5 of you in one village. You thought that we were chasing you, but we were really just bringing you to the Dark One. And there has to be balance for some reason. That's not explained. And balance means that some of you will turn to the shadow, maybe even all of you." And it cuts to Matt. So Matt's just a bad guy now. And then Perrin just doesn't do anything. He picks up an axe and then watches him leave.
But he does pick up an axe, which is a big moment. That's a big moment. He does nothing with it, but he picks up an axe, which is big.
Okay.
It doesn't explain it. You don't understand why.
You go from axe to wave the leaf to being willing to pick up an axe. Okay, I get it. But
here being he's choosing the axe over the wave the leaf, which would be cool if he didn't proceed to not use the axe.
Ice Pepper Aja is got me every single comment. It's great.
Yeah.
He could have tried something. He could have ran at the Murderall and just been knocked away. Anything. Literally anything but what he does do, which is doing nothing.
Yeah. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
It was
so stupid.
It makes no sense. The editing is horrible.
And then he just lets him walk away at that point, I think.
Well, yeah, right? Like that's the weirdest part is after that, it just shows him walk out a balcony or something like that. And you're like, wait, what happened?
Oh, that's a good point there. Roger Fed said, I feel like Fane's dialogue was meant for Matt. That would make a lot more sense if Matt was in this scene and they had to take him out because of the casting issues.
I'm assuming Roger has not read the books.
but that would make sense if Matt was there.
Are you, Roger?
Paden
Have you read the
could
book?
steal the knife from him at that point.
Yeah, because this is interesting too.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're asking this question makes me think you've never read the books, which is totally cool. And you have some really good intuitions, is all I'll say there. Let us know if you've read the book.
Talked about that in one of our last episodes, though, that exact comment, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, half of the stuff that you are saying is, wow. Okay.
It's interesting though what he says too about it being meant for Matt. That dialogue. Right?
Yeah. I agree. Probably.
I got distracted there. I feel like I just lost track of 5 minutes of my life. What happened? David, what did you say? Say it again, please.
What?
What were you saying just now?
I
got distracted
was
by
saying,
the comment.
I was saying that Roger Fed's comment here. I feel Fane's dialogue was meant for Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that makes a lot more sense. If they planned to have Matt in that scene, Paden Fane could have stolen the knife from him at that point, and then his comments make a little more sense. But yeah, with him out of the picture, that the whole scene is just very clunky.
So clunky.
Doesn't make sense.
Okay. So that's Perrin's arc, and consequently,
Or
Matt's.
lack thereof.
Is it an arc though? It's like a straight line.
Then let's go to the girls, because this is the point where I stopped mapping out the show and I just jumped to the characters because it was just jumping between them so fast. It was because you're exactly right. They did set up Matt and Paden Fane from episode 1, and for sure this dialogue was definitely. You were 100% right. It was supposed to be Matt, not Perrin in the finale, and then Perrin would have had even less to do. Okay, so the girls and the are linked with the Accepted, and you see the Accepted. Okay. Before we talk about that. So Algomar is at the fortress, and you see his sisters see the Trollocs attacking, and she says, "Light help you, little brother." And my only note is, "Or you could," because then the next scene, Algomar dies because he doesn't know how melee combat works. This fight scene is really bad. The Trollocs are acting like World War Z zombies.
Yes.
Crawling up the wall and hitting the stones with a pickaxe. If you're inside the wall, literally all you need is one spear. They'll come up with a pickaxe, not attacking the people. And then you stab them. And then the next one comes up with a pickaxe and you stab him. And the next one comes up with a new pickaxe and you stab him. Okay, but Algomar still has his single-use crossbow in his hand, and then he looks like up for some reason, and then gets stabbed by a spear and goes out like a little wimp.
This is where I wrote, shouldn't they know what they're doing?
Is it this what they do? The fortress is built would be
isn't that what it's
impossible to breach.
Have you done this?
How did the
I don't
Trollocs
understand.
win? They're pulling the stones apart with their hands and pickaxes. They don't have ladders. They don't have siege towers. There has to be a door at the bottom, right, to go in and out. They need it should have shown like a Helm's Deep thing where they're focusing their attacks on the weak point. But no, they just tear through the stones.
Yep.
That fight makes no sense. Algomar goes out like a little wimp. And you're exactly right. I have a note here so I have several notes on how simple changes could have made this episode better. I'm gonna save that for the end though. And you've already talked about it. His sister should have gone to the tower, to the fortress for sure, and that would have made this whole thing a lot better. Because her plan to find people she can link with is a really good plan. until it isn't, because she should have gone to the fortress. Hear me out, okay? So her brother says, no, I'm going to my death, right? You stay here and just protect the people of the city. She says, I can't do that. She does her Mulan thing. She gets in her armor and she says, find me all the women who can channel. I'm going to go save my brother and my people, right? Because if all of our warriors are dead, we're going to die too, okay? She sets up the city. She gets all the women left in the city to protect. She sets them up on the crossbows, just like she did. Then she meets up with the women. And she says, we're going to link and we're going to ride to the fortress. She rides to the fortress, stands on top of the tower, has the same cool moment, okay? And does a lot of channeling. Doesn't kill the whole army, but helps significantly. Then she sees her brother die in battle. And she can't do anything about it because she's burnt herself out. Boom!
That would have been really good.
And
it's really not hard to make a better scene than this.
It's
series.
not hard.
Let's be honest.
You literally
It's
get
really
the same exact shots from the show with a tiny little change. And it's so much better.
Plus, how is he dead? Is he for sure dead?
He got stabbed in the chest.
Because he's
With a
a
spear.
big character. Like, he's like a last book character.
100% dead.
So I'm like, how is this happening?
He's one of the
I don't
generals,
understand.
right? At the end.
Hmm.
They can replace him with a woman.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just
But
like, no
wouldn't that
comment.
have been poetic too? And
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she risks her life to save her brother and all of the soldiers, she's responsible for Padan Fane getting away with the horn. And he says in his dying breath, I told you not to come. There was a reason you needed to protect the city. You've doomed us all. I'm a better writer.
Honestly, would have been so much better. Alan, why aren't we just writing this?
Right?
Honestly, why aren't we
Okay.
doing it?
Amazon.
Prime,
Bezos,
Amazon.
Jeffy Bezos, if you're hearing us,
Ugh.
just give us your money.
It's funny because part of me was like,
Honestly, I'll do it for free. I don't have a job.
and then Algomar will respect her a little too, but
Okay.
yeah,
Bezos,
I like your ending.
Jeffy,
That's better.
I don't have a job. Okay. I do YouTube for a living. I'm a stay-at-home dad. Hire me. I will Skype in and read your scripts, and I promise you the only changes I make will be tiny dialogue changes that don't require extra money, but will 100% make your scripts better. Wow.
I'm like, what happens? What happens next?
The thing is, they do have access to fans of the show.
Yeah.
You know, that know the books, that know the lore. You know, they consult with Brandon Sanderson, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I mean, this is basic writing stuff, though. It's
yeah, this
It's
isn't
not
even
even-
just like being true to the book stuff. This
No.
is just writing 101 stuff, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I get that they wanted to show what happens if you take too much of the power. You still could have killed off the two other girls, even though that's not how it works in the books. I'm okay with it. Burn the other, like kill them, right?
Yeah.
But don't kill the sister. Have her burn herself out, and then she can't heal her brother, and then she's got this huge guilt. And then honestly, if you make her the general at the end instead of Algomar
Yeah.
with this like huge guilt, would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. And I can't believe I'm saying it.
Anyways,
Because she's got this she'll have this huge guilt of I just do like, okay.
no, I agree.
Yeah, that's a really
And
good
she can't channel anymore, so she has to find some other use for herself, you know, like
She's got to learn how to dodge a spear. Is what she's got to do.
go watch the scene when he dies too, because he picks up his crossbow, he shoots the Trolloc, and then another Trolloc comes up and he goes like this. He puts down his crossbow and then
Yeah.
he's not even looking at the Trolloc. He looks up and then back down and then gets stabbed. I'm like, what is even going on?
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Okay.
I'm
Their
like,
defense
can
is-
we just move on? Because I'm just getting more and more
Yeah.
angry. I just like, ah.
They accepted Link, and then they burn out. It was a cool scene with the lightning and
It was.
stuff. And then they burn, and then Nynaeve kind of like takes the heat of the burning for Egwene. And if you look closely, like you can tell that Nynaeve is not dead, but she's just seriously injured. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, how come you can bring people back from the dead?" That's not what's happening, because Nynaeve is more powerful than the person channeling. She just got really crispy. She didn't kill her. She wasn't killed by channeling too much, because she can handle more than the lame accepted, who doesn't have a lot of power but some training, right? But still, like if you're gonna tease someone's death, make it be Nynaeve here. And the sister comes back after burning, and she can't heal her because she can't channel anymore. And Egwene is just the Mary Sue now. Okay, so Rand's story. So the whole thing comes down to the Dark One trying to make Rand like take what he wants. So like all you have to do is believe that your child is real and then make it yours. And then he says, "That's not my Egwene, because my Egwene doesn't love me." and then Rand channels into the.
But I thought that was pretty good.
That was good. It just took way too long to get there. It's a little funny though.
Agreed.
Agreed. And then he channels out the Dark One, and then I really like how it shows him grinning as he, "I tricked you, you dumb idiot." Here's a note that I have for that scene. Why wasn't Moraine crushed between two opposing forces and killed in that scene?
Like she said
that anyone who travels to the eye of the world who is not the dragon will be crushed between two forces.
Yeah.
Well, she's got a lot of her information wrong if we're like being really technical about what's happening here.
Yeah.
So
she's just.
But also, I feel like the consequences of that were her losing the power, losing it at the end.
Yeah, but that's not what she said would happen.
Yeah.
She's a liar.
Yeah.
Rand decides he's not going back because he's crazy and he doesn't want to kill his friends. Lan sneaks past an entire army of Trollocs to find Moraine, to find that she can't channel, she can't unmask the bond, and then we get Quaindiar. I'm a fan of this. The Dark One's so the seal. It's pretty clear that the Dark One tricked Rand into fighting him, and instead of him, because he's behind the prison bars, all he did was break the seal. So now all the bad guys can come out, right?
Yeah,
and it's got to be what they're going for, because she straight up says this is Quaindiar. That is a material that is made with the one power, and it normally can't be destroyed by channeling. And we also know that the Dark One's seals are made of Quaindiar, and that's a thing from the books.
Yeah, and they were supposed to be in that symbol to the disc.
Yes,
right?
they are in the symbol, the shape of
Yin
yang. I thought that scene was good, and then Rand walks off. So it's my opinion that they're going to squish books 2 and 3 together, because Rand leaving by himself is book 3, and I think that could make that work.
Yeah. I think did we talk about that last time, or was this just like when we were watching it?
But I didn't know how they were going to do it last time because of Moraine being stilled, but now I know that's not true.
Right.
Lan is better at teleporting than Bottom Vein is, yes. So that's the thing. Like, this could be fixed. Like you could do books 2 and 3 simultaneously, and have Rand disappear the entire show, and but since you're doing it simultaneously with 3, Rand would still have something to do, and I love book 3, and a lot of people don't, because Rand isn't in it. And I think it's brilliant, but that's spoilers.
Isn't book 3 called The Dragon Reborn?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Rand's not in it.
No.
Interesting.
Which book did they go to Kyrian and with?
That's 3. So basically, it's spoilers, but not spoilers because you're going to see it sooner. Book 3 starts with how season 1 ends. Rand saying, "Hey, I accept that I'm the dragon, and that means I'm going to kill everyone close to me. So bye." And basically, his goal is, if I'm the dragon, there are a bunch of prophecies about the dragon, right? That all these crazy things the dragon has to do before the last battle. And so he literally goes and picks like the hardest one to do and says, "This will confirm it." Because at this point, even in book 3, he doesn't even know that he's the Dragon Reborn yet. Like everyone's telling him he is, but he hasn't accepted it yet. And so he says, "Okay, I'm going to pick the hardest thing on this list, this impossible task.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there." He leaves everyone behind, and he says, "I'm going to try and do this crazy, crazy thing. And if I do, I guess I am the dragon."
And it's everyone else just kind of like trying to figure out where he went.
So book 3, Rand is in the first chapter, and he disappears. And it's brilliant. The entire book is jumping between every other character and trying to figure out what Rand is doing and where he is, and then they all meet up at the end. Rand is in the end of the book and to do the crazy prophecy thing. They're definitely going to have to merge locations though if they're doing 2 and 3 simultaneously. Tyr and Faldara, they're just going to be the same place, and the thing that's in Tyr will be not Faldara, Falma. Tyr and Falma will be the same location. The thing that's in Tyr will just be located in Falma, and they're already introducing the Shan-Chan, so that is going to happen in Falma. That's my prediction. I'm actually amazed at how much I'm talking about spoilers without actually spoiling anything. That's impressive.
Once again, Ice Pepper Aja is on fire with these comments. He says the best teleporter is the dagger. You put it under a sheet and it vanishes like a magician's trick.
Just goes back. Just teleports to Pot of Fane.
It's so good.
So many issues.
Okay.
What did we have left?
That's the last scene is the Shan-Chan. Before I say it, David, what did you think of the Shan-Chan scene? Non-book reader. The boats. Sorry, you don't know that they're called
the beach scene.
It cuts to a beach, and there's people on a boat.
Yeah, there's a big tidal wave, and okay, cool. I don't know anything about it. I just assume it's setting something up for the next season.
I think that's a good way to end the season, though. That's a good stinger.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm willing to praise the show. I thought they looked a little silly.
So silly. Actually, in watching
there are
it again,
there are some good aspects.
Yeah, because you see the
jarring.
bracer.
It's like, what is going on with this?
You see the bracer, and you see like the collar, which is like the shoulder thing.
Yeah,
but this they're like
muzzle.
teeth whitening. They like have like this like teeth whitening thing on. It was like
so they're not only so they have collars, but they also have muzzles. And it showed. I don't think it showed bracelets on the Marath Damani. I can't remember what Marath Damani is. The ones with the muzzles, right? Damani, and then who are the ones that control
Damani and Suldam.
Suldam. So the Suldam, I think they're doing rings. It showed rings on their fingers.
It had arm bracer.
Maybe
there was a gold arm bracer because they both go like this. They go, and there's this arm bracer that's gold, and that's when you see the other ones too. They have like this shoulder thing that's the same color. It's like goes to here, and it's gold, and it's like almost a collar. Yep. So it's still there. That's where I'm just like, why did you add the teeth whitener? What are you doing?
Also, what are they doing?
Yeah, with the tidal wave.
They make a giant tidal wave to kill a little girl.
Yeah.
That would have been cool if there was a city there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, they could have panned away. They could have had the money shot which was a cool visual of the little girl and a tidal wave. But why? Like maybe pan after that to reveal there's a city behind her or something.
Yeah.
That's an excessive use of the power.
Well, we don't see the wave come down. Maybe it's just they're just riding that wave all the way up. That's what they're doing.
What are they doing?
Why?
I don't know.
Maybe she's a channeler that really pissed them off.
Roger Fed,
girl, we'll show her.
I was thinking the same thing. It's the Water Nation.
Yeah, Water Nation. Water
Yeah. But,
oh my gosh.
anyways, I thought the little mouth guard thing was interesting. I thought it was. Thought there was probably some in-world explanation that I was missing, but
it's not in the world. That's why I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, interesting.
I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense thematically, but
yeah,
it's not in
But again, that's just like if it were wrapped around their face, it makes sense. But they're holding it in with their teeth,
even
so
a small
it's not
village
really.
Yeah. There's nothing attached to it. They're
literally like just like, I'll hold this here as my teeth.
They have the bit like horses here. Because there wasn't a strap holding it on.
No.
It's a mouth guard.
The thing is, you don't even have to reach up and
whitener.
pull it out. You can literally just go.
It would have been cool if it was like a muzzle, like strapped to their face.
Yeah,
like a horse.
I would not have hated
that would
it, but
that would make a lot more sense. That's what they are.
Because this is what happened to me. You see those boats, and I was like, cool, this is happening. I'm so excited. And then even the threatening boats, you kind of pan out, and I was in for it. And then they walked out, and I literally was like,
you get weird face paint and then weird
right.
like mouth guards.
Yeah, like what was so underwhelming to leave it like that.
The tidal wave's gonna rebound. Guys. It's into a cliff face. It's gonna bounce back. Yeah.
And to be clear, too, I have no problem with the way they visualize the armband and the shoulder.
No.
Like, I think that's fine. It's literally just this part, the mouth guard.
Okay.
Well, maybe they'll change it between seasons. I had another question to ask you guys. So the female Aes Sedai, right, have these rings, and it showed in this episode the male version of that sling ring thing that covered a couple fingers.
Yeah.
Is that how it's described in the book? Because I thought that was an interesting design choice.
Is that on the dark one, maybe?
Yeah, the dark one had it, and
it shows Luz Theron and the dark one both have like a ring around their whole wrist. Not wrist, but like around all four fingers, and he turns it back and forth to do channeling stuff. I don't think it's what you think it is, David.
Okay. It seemed like it was the male version of the Aes Sedai ring.
It's probably more of like a.
That's a really good guess, but I think Nathan's right because it showed the dark one using it to manipulate something. I think it's a futuristic device. I don't think it's a ring. And in the books, they come across like artifacts from that world of like actual technology that has survived the breaking, and like they don't know what any of it does. So like they have there's like teleportation boxes and stuff like that, like crazy stuff. So that looks like some kind of technology. I don't really know what it does.
Interesting.
Yeah,
but it did show both Luz Theron and the Dark One have one, and so it's not a stretch to assume it would be the ring. But there was that one scene where it showed the Dark One like twisting it back and forth to manipulate something, and I have no idea what it was.
Okay, cool.
I'm looking through my hot takes, and I think I actually mentioned most of these. That Nynaeve should have been left unhealed. I think you're definitely right that this event is what's causing is going to cause her blockage, which makes sense. I think that's a good change. And I talked about I already talked about all that. So I've got two notes. If they're busting out terms like Quaindiar, they have time to use the word Taviran.
They used Taviran
in
this episode.
That
was in my notes.
I didn't hear it, but I was upset.
Yeah, I feel like one of them did it. Maybe it was Pat and Vane, but yeah, he's like 4 Taviran in one village.
Yeah, you're right. It was
only
Path of
one,
Fame.
usually one or two, an era, or like a decade, or
Okay, you're right. They did use it. Kate, and that joke doesn't make sense. But here's a good one. You'll like this one. It took 8 books. It took 8 books for Robert Jordan to run out of things for Perrin to do, and the show manages it in one season.
Too soon. Oh man! Wow. You're not wrong though.
Everyone agrees that one Perrin arc is like, I don't know what to do with this character, so it's just going to be stretched out for way too long.
I mean, if you like what you said about the Way of the Leaf, that makes sense to me. They just did not show that at all.
No,
they did such a poor job of it. I could have been on board for that. I could have been on board, but
no.
Ty King in the comments said that the Tamerlane in the prequel shot or whatever said that she had one of those rings as well. I didn't notice that, so I'll have to go back and
it's going to be a futuristic device thing.
Yeah,
maybe it's like their phones.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I think those are all my notes. You were going to talk about Lord Algomar, but I think we already talked about it.
Yeah, and actually, I looked it up, and what I was going to ask, I figured out. So,
is he one of the generals?
Well, my question specifically, because I remember one of those high up people being a dark friend, and in my head it was Lord Algomar, but it was someone else. So
okay.
So no spoilers. We tricked you, but you stayed the whole time anyways. Look at that, live streamers. Whoops.
But you have like full series spoilers you want to get out?
I feel like I talked about most of what I wanted to talk about.
I talked about.
We didn't really ruin anything.
No,
while talking about it.
Good job, us. We talked in generalities. Managed to avoid most spoilers while addressing our concerns. I don't have any other notes other than like I'm like praying for season 2 to not have these same problems.
Right. Yeah. I'm praying for a bigger budget, more episodes, no crazy like delays in production.
It had a pretty big budget though, so like some of the CGI just does not have an excuse.
And the editing.
Perrin could have at least killed that dumb bat, right?
Oh yeah, that reminds me.
Oh my god!
When I saw that bat, I thought, Perrin is this wolf man, and he comes across the bat. In my mind, I was like, "Children of the night, what music they make!"
Old Dracula.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, pretty underwhelming episode and series finale all around.
Mm-hmm.
Or season finale, not series finale.
So
I just want to find a reason for why the writing is not up to scratch. SG, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Who are these writers?
I don't know. Some of
it's great. Some of it's real bad though.
Yeah, but like at this point, it almost feels intentional. Like
it's more of that. What did you call it? Where they're purposely trying to lead people who know the books.
Change baiting.
Yeah, change baiting. Maybe it's just more change baiting because.
But they made some pretty significant changes. Here's the thing: who does that serve, though? Change baiting doesn't. The book readers aren't going to like it.
No, it's not a good thing. No
people who haven't read the book aren't going to know that they don't like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
One good thing I do have to say about the show, though, is it's had some pretty cool effects, particularly on the light weaving. That's always been awesome. Some of the CGI with the Trollocs not so great, but the light weaving has always been really great, and the costuming, for the most part, there's a couple weird design choices, but for the most part, the costuming throughout the entire show has been top notch, very good, very impressed with a lot of the designs. But yeah, the writing and the editing and the world building is just lacking in a lot of aspects.
And some of the like sets too, right? Like
reusing sets and everything.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, maybe it's a budget thing. They couldn't afford to do 2, and they just thought they could get away with it. And
I guess,
no, everyone knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Those are all the notes that I had on this final episode, and I think I've pretty much expressed my opinion of the entire season. I had mentioned last time that I wanted to do a game with you guys, but it's going to be way too long if we do it now. But I wanted to try and map out how to fit the show into a certain number of seasons. I did that myself, and it was very fun and agonizing to do. But I would love to do that with the book experts to try and figure out, okay, which finale from the books are we putting in as the finale for each season?
Yeah.
It's a fun game. But that talks about like this show in general. Obviously, we're out of episodes of the Wheel of Time to talk about, and we will pick this show back up next year whenever it airs. But I want to keep doing these live streams because I think they're fun. But it can't be called an after show. That only works for the Wheel of Time. So
it could be the after show.
After the after show, that's just too confusing for anyone. We're
workshopping it. We'll come back.
But in the comments, let us know if you have any ideas for what the show could be. I'm kind of just leading towards just calling it Nerd Night. I don't know, but we'll probably stick to Sundays. That's the best night for me because I have some commitments occasionally on Fridays and Saturdays. But we also want to know what you guys are interested in us covering. We already know that we want to do an episode on the King Killer Chronicles, the Name of the Wind. I think we want to talk about Spider-Man too. But please let us know in the comments what you would be interested in hearing us talk about, because we are pretty nerdy and we've read a lot of nerd stuff.
Opinionated.
And we have opinions. So I think that's it, though. Do you guys have any other comments? The Book of Boba Fett? Oh, I wasn't even planning on watching the Book of Boba Fett. But I would do it for you.
Maybe we should recommend reading the King Killer Chronicles if you have it.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
I just got the first book for Christmas.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I do have to say, though, it is hard to recommend it because they're not finished.
Because what?
Yeah, but there has been significant news, I think, for book 3 recently. So I think we will be getting it soon.
Hopefully.
Well, I'm a slow reader, so it'll probably take me a year and a half to finish the first book.
You just need the audiobooks. They're really good anyways.
Yeah,
honestly.
I've been debating getting an Audible subscription, but the thing is I get most of my books used at thrift stores or Amazon or something. Right. So, the price of Audible is more expensive than what I'm usually paying for a book.
I mean, I feel like you might know some people that maybe own the books on tape.
That's true. Yeah.
I have a lot of audiobooks. Yeah. Well, I think that's it then. I'm planning on doing this again on Sunday next week. I think next week we could do the map out the show.
Okay.
The entire series. And that's the plan for next week. So thanks for coming. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking around, our dedicated 10 viewers. And we will see you next week. David probably won't be here because he hasn't read the books. I will say my wife
storming the castle.
My wife has picked up book 1 of the Eye of the World, and she's almost finished with it. She got halfway through the book in a single day and past where I was rereading the book. She's probably reading it right now. She's probably done. I'm going to try and get her to do like a review of the books, but I don't know. She doesn't like appearing on my channel at all.
Cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you around. Thanks for watching the show. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next week.
For having us.
Bye.
I don't know why it's still alive.